So many thanks, Dimitri, for inviting us, Panis Media, to support this event and do this panel discussion. I'm Panis Pieri. I'm a tech blogger the last 10 years. I used to have the biggest blog about startups in Cyprus. Now we're building another something else in startups again. You'll find out soon. And here we're with a fourth very good friend to discuss about where to funds invest. Just one point before we start. In 2014, TechCrunch was writing that Cyprus-based Viper was acquired for $900 million, dollars, I think. Yeah. We had some other smaller acquisitions, Foodie acquired by Delivery Hero. Last year we had servers.com acquired for $200 million. But after 2014, we actually don't have a Cypriot company got acquired or become a unicorn level. And I hope the next year we can achieve that with the growth of our ecosystem, etc. And these guys here, I think they can help to achieve that. Let's start from Persia. Persia, you are an investor in Flashpoint VC. You have $500 million asset under management. In London, you invest in European, in US startups. I would like to tell us how the current investment climate in these regions, and if you can tell us some emerging trends that is coming, just to set up the pace about what is happening in the global VC space.
First of all, thanks for having me today. Yeah, like traditionally, if you think about it, US was always attracting most of the international investors, and we've seen over the last few years Europe catching up. Some regions much more mature versus others. We've seen UK, Germany. They have a lot of VCs, a lot of activity happening. Overall, what I would say, this year, there's been a lot of activity overall. There's a lot of dry powder coming out of 2023. And we see it when we go and we bid and we issue term sheets. There's always competition. There's always bidding against valuation. So we've seen the valuations trending upwards versus what we've seen over the last 2 years. And overall depends on of course, on the jurisdiction, whether it's US, Europe, and also on the vertical, the industry. And everything, for example, that has an AI somewhere in their website always attracts much more attention. But to be fair, there was a huge transformation that happened over the last few years. We've seen a lot of improvement in efficiency, productivity, the overall the engagement interface and things like that. So that's definitely a sector that everyone is spending more time on. Depends, and it's not always the case. Some of them that claim to have, they actually have it. Some others, they're in the process. But we are expecting a lot of things, and definitely it's something that a lot of people are spending more attention. And maybe another sector to mention is like climate tech, renewables, clean tech. As Flashpoint, we're very much focusing over the last few months, year or so. And we've seen a lot of things are happening from a regulatory perspective, also a lot of awareness. So we've seen a lot of economical opportunities to come out of this sector.
Yeah, and to take into consideration that according to Dealroom last year, we had 312 billions invested in tech companies only, and that's only the companies that Dealroom knows. I imagine the amount is much bigger, close to, I would say, $500 billion, only in tech. We'll see, we're seeing more, but I want to know about from Yuriy. Yuriy, you are the ICLUB global, one of the biggest networks of angel investors in the world. You launch also a new online platform right now. If you want to download, go download. Shameless. advertising. But tell us, with your experience, what are the key indicators that you look for a startup to exit, because you invest very early with your ICLUB network and TA Ventures. You had some IPO exits down the line. Yeah.
Okay. It is, I think, a right question to ask about exactly the exit strategy. So this quarter precisely is one of the leading quarter in terms of the number of the deal that we have on secondary sales. What does it mean? It's for investors that you don't need to wait until the IPO happening or something like sophisticated from the M&A perspective. It will be a chance to make an exit for the follow-on investors that will join the board or the company as an institutional one. Last month, we made this kind of exits, over than 20x, sophisticated, not NAI. I'm like assure you that the bubble of AI, it's something that we always trying to figure out, but it will not last forever. We will see new trends that will start to appear, like for example, robotics. We have amazing company called AI Space that's right now distributed across the whole US in every Equinox fitness centers. You can use robotics for your massage, etc. That's our company in portfolio. Similar conditions, I see there is a big follow-on trend that will happen and appears it will be biotech. But from the investor's perspective, what I can suggest to everyone to start out from is to understand that valuation perspective on early stage right now, it's super sweet. So this year we invest in US company with already revenue traction, MVP, etc., with valuation 2.5 million pre-money. Imagine that 2 years ago. Just imagine US-based founders with a great sophisticated traction result have this kind of valuation. So that means the following, that if you are stay and have a constant strategy and approach to invest as early as possible, understand the market and where exactly this wind is blowing, you will have a chance to make your returns through the secondaries. And that's the precise option, because IPO market right now is closed for the next 2 years completely. So please just make the attention for those options that you have from the secondaries perspective.
Cool, great insight. Let's go to Roman. Roman, you said Gem Capital has 100 million that you invest in gaming. Gaming is growing the last years very much in Cyprus. Also, I believe it's one of the hot sectors where actually we need to focus as a country, and but also it's growing globally. What do you think why gaming companies it's an attractive investment, and how do you manage the challenge of exits? Because it's a bit, in your industry, I think it's a bit tricky.
So let me also split it in two, and also thank you so much for having me here. As for the first part of the question was, what is so sexy about gaming? Yeah, so I would say, I'll try to be short, not to take too much of time. The first one is quite obvious. Games industry is global. So, I mean, if you look at, you can also ask my colleagues. I'm sure they'll prove my words. You know, a lot of startups worldwide, they struggle to enter new markets. So let's imagine you're a startup somewhere in India, and you try to get some revenue streams from the US. It might be challenging, right? And also some later stage investors, they might say like, look guys, what percentage of revenue comes from the US? And you might say it's 0. So we have European revenue. And they might reply that's some kind of a lower multiple revenue. So we want the US and so on. That's not the case in the games industry. So in the games industry, there are currently no barriers between any segments, any countries. You just need to upload your game to like Steam, Google Play, App Store, and so on, and the game is eventually available everywhere. So I would say that's the first point. Another one is the games industry is resilient to any kind of crisis. Yeah, so during COVID, it was booming. As of now, it still continues to grow, despite quite a lot of experts. They were predicting some kind of correction, yeah, to go down. It didn't, yeah. So revenue still continue to grow. I mean, all over the games markets. The last one is, gaming historically was the largest form of entertainment. I mean, games industry is bigger than global box offices, music combined. Yeah, so it was always the case. But what is now trending is that starting from maybe last year, 2 years, games is becoming a pop culture phenomenon. Because as of now, previously the major pop culture phenomenon was maybe superheroes, right? So Marvel and so on. And as of now, what we see is that more and more TV series, most popular TV series, those are The Last of Us, Fallout, in box offices, Mario, and so on. So I would say the third one is that games are now trending even more than they historically were. So I think as for the exits, I don't really see a lot of troubles in exits in the games market. So I think it's quite the same compared to general VCs. So of course there are less buyers, but also less startups. So I think they balance each
Great.
other.
Great. Stavriana, one of the persons that actually started the startup ecosystem in Cyprus back in 2013, when we started with the open coffee events, startup live events, startup weekend events, etc. Now you have you pass a lot, also in Europe. Also, you are also an angel investor, and you have the company W8 Ventures that you invest. You help startups to connect with corporations. How, from your perspective, how is important to connect corporate partnerships and startups?
Thank you. I think it's the first time that I sit on a panel that you moderate, and after so many years, and it's a great pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I think it's crucial. Obviously, I'm talking about B2B startups, right? That we're talking about the real economy. There's a shift, probably because of everything in the crisis. Corporates are realizing that they cannot do everything themselves, because there's always some ego if you're a non-tech corporate, right? They used to say that, I'm going to hire a couple of developers. I'm going to build an innovative product. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be competitive. I'm going to launch it in the market. All right, good luck with that. Competing with all the tech companies to acquire the tech talent is not going to happen, and it's a bet. It's probably going to take you 2 to 3 years because you're working in corporate time, which is a bit different than startup time, and it's probably going to fail. So now they're realizing that I can talk to a startup, I can have a very more relaxed relation with a startup and try their innovative product that solves my problem as a corporate. And for a startup, this is a lifeline. They validate their product with an actual customer. So absolutely crucial, because when you approach these guys, the business angels at first, and then the VCs, they want to see that you have, first of all, validated your MVP, and you validated the product, preferably by a paying customer, which is the best investor, actually. Absolutely the best investor. So linking the two and solving real economy problems, that's how you scale startups. That's how you innovate, actually, how corporates can innovate and grow and be competitive and fit for the future, no matter what geography they're in. So absolutely crucial in the investment readiness growth journey.
Cool. And you can help also. I know that you do that also in European with the investment readiness, etc. I have another scene of where we have another 6 minutes to finish this. So just try to be a bit more to the point and short. Persia, how do you see all this geopolitical happening? How these things influence the decision of an investor?
Oh, massively, I must say. And we've seen, like, from 2022, 2023, a lot of VCs were not investing into new startups. Everyone was very concerned, very, very hesitant to put money somewhere. And it was a difficult period to fundraise, to exit, to IPO, and then everything is linked. But I would say going into 2024, and that's what I said earlier, there is a lot of dry powder, and we've seen the dynamics actually changing a lot. But also investors' mindset is changing. So what we say to startups when we go and talk to them is we are not embracing an environment where you grow at any cost. Now profitability matters, a path towards profitability matters. So these are the kind of KPIs, mindset strategy that we also looking at when we're evaluating a new opportunity.
Cool. Yuriy, to you, I mean, do you see any regions or markets that are overlooked currently? And I know that you're involved also in the Cypriot scene. You have seen the global scene. As Cyprus, very briefly, what we can do to become more strengthened in this global environment?
I love this question. Thank you so much, Panis. So first of all, I think that the Gulf region, specifically for the Cyprus, is quite clear. It's options to go with, but no one is, because I'm doing business development. I'm the person who connecting the dots. I'm just a guy who traveling a lot to understand exactly the value of the things and people on the ground. So what I can suggest you to go to, not to Dubai, go to Saudi, go to Bahrain. That's an amazing place to start with, because Bahrain is a Commonwealth country as well. Like that's the answer, how you can explain who you are, where you are heading to, and what exactly you need to help with. A part of that, what we also understand from the investor's perspective, the performance that we invested for the last 12 months, showing the following, that the company that raised next funding round, they're coming up from the SIA region. It's APAC, Central Asia. It's an amazing place. But for the reason of doing business, you just need to go to one direction, Singapore. No different countries. Every family office has a representative in Singapore. So if you are present in Singapore, you cover and hold the region. That's it. Like, that's simple, just going further. And if we were talking about LATAM market, that's also quite important for us right now as well. You just need to go to Brazil. Brazil, it's an amazing place. And there is a lot of great founders, investors, and ecosystem that can help you out with your establishment in this region.
It's no mistake that Singapore is one of the 5-10, let's say, hubs around the world that a unicorn might pop up. So, and Middle East. That's why. Roman, I was always curious, and I want to ask you this question. Is gaming funds different from traditional funds that they invest in a B2B company, or etc.?
Investments in games, they can also be split in a number of, let's say, two major segments. Yeah, so content, games, and this one is quite different from general VCs, and the other one is more kind of close to general VC. Like social networks for gamers, some recommendation services for gamers. So those are pretty much the same as the general VC. As for the content is king. Yeah? So games, the major difference is, I would say, much less data at the early stages. When a team is developing a game, so there are not exactly some kind of a data room you can look to evaluate, to look into figures. So it's just like your expert's opinion on whether the market needs this kind of game or not. So that's the major difference, I would say.
Great. We have around 1 minute, so I want you to just close it 20-30 seconds about the future of funding, and we start from Stavriana. In this industry, how do you see it?
Oh, well, the economy goes in cycles, so you could just go with the wave, but plan. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to give you any wisdom that doesn't stand. For me, it's pretty standard. Make sure you have your bases covered, your model is validated, you sell. That's the best investor always. And when you talk to investors, the ones that give you money, they get in to get out, right? It's a marriage with a planned divorce with a return. And you should know that. So you need to provide value to your shareholders. Make sure that they provide value to you. So vet them as well, because there's no such thing as free money ever. And I'm going to say something about non-equity funding as well. But not only non-equity. I want to talk about the EIC, which is the European Investment Fund, is a 10 billion deep tech fund, and it's blended finance. So it's 2.5 million that is grant and up to 15 million that is equity on a 50-50 matching base. And the idea is to scale European startups. So there are opportunities, focus, decide where your market is, and no, it's not if I get 1% of China, I'm going to be a unicorn, because good luck reaching 1% of China. Do the maths. It's a billion inhabitant country. So be very specific when you do your planning. How do you reach? What's your go-to market? How do you enter? And you said it before, Cyprus is a fantastic pilot market, but from here you need to launch in other markets so you can talk to these guys to support you and grow further and scale in bigger markets that actually have substantial exit opportunities for startups.
Okay.
Was that
And we
30
have some
seconds?
quick comment also from Yuriy about the future and Persia.
Yeah, maybe I will just give you advice because I saw a lot of great founders here in the room. If you want to raise funding round this year, just not try to approach first venture capitalists and venture capital funds. Try to approach the founders, not try to build a competitive mindset. Go to your competitors that doing something like in a different way, growing rapidly, like a Series B plus stage, and talk to the founders, what they can offer you, what they can suggest you, because these kind of people will decide your strategy, your vision, and of course your future for your funding stage round for the next maybe 12 or whole life. So my suggestion, go first and speak with the founders. They will definitely give you a lot.
Persia?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with what Stavriana said earlier, that you need to nail it when it comes to what's your go-to market. Make sure that you understand who you're selling, how you're selling, and make sure that you target and focus, right? It's okay to experiment with different stuff. Something might not work and something might does, but you always need to focus. You can't do everything. And that's something that we always try to advise the startups that we talk to.
Roman, the future of gaming. 30 seconds.
Is bright. Yuriy.
Okay, great, thank you. I think now it's networking. Dimitri would tell us more. We go for networking now.
Thank you so much for your questions.